What really happens to your body and mind if you never have sex, ever? It's a question that might seem taboo, but it's more common and relevant than most people realize. Whether it's by choice, circumstance, or disinterest, many people go long periods, or even their entire lives, without sexual intimacy. But how does that affect your mental, emotional, and physical health? Today, we're breaking down what happens to your body and mind when sex is absent from your life. Not to scare you, but to give you insight, compassion, and maybe even peace of mind if you're in that situation. Because let's be honest, society often glorifies sex to the point where people who aren't sexually active may feel broken, lonely, or less than. But is that really the case, or is the truth more complex? Let's start with the physical side. Contrary to popular belief, abstaining from sex won't make you unhealthy by itself. You won't physically break down just because you're not having sex. But there are certain biological benefits that come with sexual activity that your body misses out on. For example, regular sex can boost the immune system, improve heart health, reduce blood pressure, and even serve as a form of exercise. Without sex, your body may miss out on these mild physiological perks, but they're not exclusive to sex. You can get similar health benefits from physical affection, regular exercise, laughter, or even deep breathing. So no, you won't die from not having sex, but you might need to be more intentional about caring for your physical health in other ways. Now let's go deeper into the psychological and emotional effects. Humans are wired for connection, and for many, sex is one of the most powerful forms of intimacy. It's not just about the act, it's about closeness, vulnerability, validation, and feeling wanted. When that is absent, especially over long periods, people can begin to feel isolated or emotionally starved. That emotional hunger doesn't necessarily come from the lack of sex itself, but from the lack of connection that often comes with it. For some people, this may lead to loneliness, lower self-esteem, or even depression. But it's important to distinguish between being sexless and being unfulfilled. You can absolutely have a deeply meaningful, fulfilling life without sex if your emotional needs are being met in other ways, through friendship, community, creativity, or spirituality. Interestingly, some people experience a decrease in sexual desire the longer they go without sex. It's like a use it or lose it phenomenon, not in a pathological sense, but in the way the body adapts. If you're not mentally or physically stimulated by sexual thoughts or experiences, your libido may naturally decline. Your body gets used to a baseline of non-sexual living. For some, this is freeing. For others, it can feel like a loss of identity. Especially if you once had a high sex drive, the absence of sex can feel like losing a part of yourself. But remember, libido fluctuates naturally due to age, hormones, stress, diet, and more. It's not a linear path. For men, long-term abstinence doesn't cause any physical damage to the reproductive system, but it can affect things like nocturnal emissions or prostate health. Some studies suggest that regular ejaculation may reduce the risk of prostate issues, but this doesn't mean sex is the only way to achieve that. Masturbation and other forms of release can fulfill that role. For women, long-term abstinence doesn't harm reproductive health either. But what can change is comfort with intimacy. Over time, if someone has had negative sexual experiences or has gone without sexual contact, they may develop anxiety around physical closeness. The longer you go without vulnerability, the scarier it can feel to return to it. And what about relationships? If you're not having sex in a romantic relationship, it can create tension or distance, unless both partners are aligned in their desires. Sexual incompatibility can be a major stressor, especially when one partner wants intimacy and the other doesn't. Without honest communication, resentment and shame can build. However, many couples go through sexless seasons due to stress, health, childbirth, or emotional challenges. It's not always a red flag. What matters more than the frequency of sex is the quality of the connection. If sex disappears but affection, respect, and emotional closeness remain, the bond can still be strong. But when physical intimacy fades and emotional distance grows, the relationship may start to crumble. That's when the absence of sex becomes a symptom of a deeper disconnect. There's also the social stigma attached to being sexless. In a hypersexual culture, people who aren't having sex often feel judged, like they're weird, broken, or unwanted. But the truth is, there are many valid reasons why someone might not be sexually active. They may be healing from trauma, dealing with medical issues, focusing on other areas of life, or simply not prioritizing sex at this moment. And let's not forget asexual individuals, people who don't experience sexual attraction at all. For them, abstaining from sex is not a problem, it's their natural way of being. The key is to remove shame from the conversation and create space for different kinds of fulfillment. Because intimacy isn't just about sex, it can also be about presence, touch, attention, and emotional resonance. Here's something most people don't talk about. You can live a joyful, powerful, deeply connected life without ever having sex. What you do need is purpose, connection, and self-worth. If you're feeling unfulfilled, sex might not be the solution, it might be a symptom. Ask yourself, what am I really missing? Is it touch? Is it emotional intimacy? Is it validation? Or is it a longing to feel alive and connected again? Once you identify that deeper need, you can start meeting it in more intentional, healthy ways. So what happens if you never have sex? You live, you survive, and with the right mindset, you thrive. Sex is beautiful, but so is solitude, creativity, purpose, laughter, friendship, and self-love. You're not broken if you're not having sex. You're human, and your story is still unfolding. If you like the video, then share it with your virgin friends and write yes in a comment. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Until then, goodbye and take care.